Well, good afternoon, everybody. Can everybody hear me from all the properties? What a great turnout. Hello. Give me a wave if you can hear me. Excellent. Thumbs up. Hello, everybody. We are broadcasting live from Trilogy at Tahale in Bonnie Lake, Washington. And I have the pleasure to introduce to you Afrodite from Premier World Discovery. And she is going to be talking to us about some awesome upcoming Explorer 360 opportunities. So welcome. Thank you for being here.
All right. Hi. Well, that's a warm welcome. Thank you all very much, and thank all of you who are watching from around the country as well. This is a little awkward. I know I should be facing at the camera, but I want to turn and look at the screen, so hopefully that'll work out. Thank you so much for having me here. We're really excited to be working with Explore 360. And in conjunction with Sarah at the think tank, we have curated these particular trips for you for 2019, these two opportunities, and I will just go through what you can expect and how the programs work and how our company works a little bit so that you can get familiar with what to expect on these programs should you decide to join us. So the first program that we'll be highlighting today is the Holland Windmills and Waterways program. It is a Tulip Festival River Cruise. So the European river cruising concept has become very, very popular over the last few years. As you can imagine, you've seen quite a big uptick in the participation, the rivers that are offered, the programs that are offered. This remains the best-selling program year after year. It really is a special time to be in Holland to see the tulips and so forth. So without further ado, I'll get into a little bit about our company, Premier World Discovery. We've been in business since 1999. The company is based in Redondo Beach, California. I'm based here in Seattle, which is why I'm here with you in Bonnie Lake today. So since 1999, the company, we have 3 owners. The owners are involved on the daily basis. We're a mid-scale size company and so forth, and probably one of the reasons you've not heard of us specifically, Premier World Discovery, is because we are an organization that works with other organizations, meaning Explore 360 and alumni organizations, chambers of commerce, groups specifically. So we don't market to the retail public, and in fact, even after you have traveled with us, if you choose to do so, we will still continue not to market to you directly. We work with our organization partners, and that's what you can expect there. We do offer 80-plus worldwide itineraries, domestic itineraries, international itineraries, cruise itineraries like we're featuring today. And we, pride ourselves on really choosing quality accommodations that are, appropriate for the destination. And we've got 2 good ones, obviously, here. We have the river cruise product. We partner with Lufner. Lufner is a company. Their Amadeus is the brand of the cruise ships and so forth. And we've partnered with them on our chartered river cruises for several years now. And we're able to select with them the newest ships that they have to offer. So in fact, the Holland River Cruise ship that we'll be using on April 2nd is going in the water in March. So you will be, those who participate, the 2nd or 3rd heads to hit those pillows. And similarly, with the Alaska cruise, that is also with our partner Celebrity, and they are a very outstanding partner to work with. We do use our experienced tour director team on our programs and so forth. This will apply to the river cruise, where we do send 2 of our experienced tour directors that will be with you. There will be the cruise directors. They just organize everything and overcome any issues that may come up and really just smooth out the experience, in addition to the cruise staff itself, which is, of course, very present throughout. In Alaska, you'll have the cruise. Motor coaches are used to move when necessary on these cruise products. So, for instance, on the river cruise product, oftentimes you are docked right there, and you don't need to use a motor coach whatsoever. But whenever necessary, we get these locally and so forth. And we really pride ourselves in enriching and inclusive itineraries. So you'll see here the inclusions that are listed, and obviously in the printed materials that are available for you as well. So jumping right into the river cruise, we do start with you're going to fly into Amsterdam and home from Amsterdam as well for the base program there. Flights are not included in the itineraries we offer, so you will book those and so forth. You work with the office. They're going to give you direction in terms of when to arrive and when to book your flight after and so forth, so you can get that all set up in accordance to your liking. So the program itself, very meal inclusive, 9 breakfasts, 6 lunches, 8 dinners, included, and regional wines with your dinner are included in river cruises, which is really quite a nice feature and so forth. On our river cruise product, we do like to differentiate ourselves from other operators in that we package it with a small land package to begin. So you've flown all the way to Europe, and we're going to start in Valkenburg. Valkenburg is a small village just north of Amsterdam, and it's a great place to get started, to shake off the jet lag a little bit. We use a wonderful family-run property there, the Park Hotel Rooting. You'll see in Valkenburg, it's not a big metropolis. There are not a ton of high-rise hotels and that sort of thing, so the property is really appropriate. And then, of course, 7 nights aboard the Amadeus Star. So Valkenburg, this is what you can expect. Again, just a very charming European town. This is going to allow you to settle in, shake off the jet lag. Valkenburg Castle just sits above the hillside there, so you'll have a look at that. And then this is the heart of the town, the center of the town, where all the locals come to get the news. You know, people stroll in Europe so you can see who's married, who's divorced, who's expecting, all of that good stuff, right? All at the pleasure. And this is just walking distance from the hotel. So very safe, very inviting, a very great introduction to the European program. The following day, we're going to take off on our 3-country tour. So we're able to do this without tremendous driving distances. We drive about 40 minutes in every direction, and that allows us to access 3 countries. And we're starting with Monschau, Germany. So in Monschau, we'll visit here. You'll have a little bit of time. A small town here in Germany. You'll have some time to explore, to take some photos, to see the beautiful half-timbered homes that exist here in Monschau. Maybe get a coffee. Here's the beautiful city hall in town. And then from there, we continue on to Belgium. Now, we will feature Belgium more heavily during the cruise portion of the program, but here we stop for a very specific site, and that's to visit the Henry Chapelle U.S. Cemetery. It is one of 14 U.S. military cemeteries on foreign soil that you can find, and it is an absolutely moving visit. You will be with a local guide. They will talk through the battles and so forth, and the folks that are interned here. Nearly 8,000 U.S. graves. Very moving event and a wonderful visit here at the Henry Chapelle Cemetery. From here, we continue back to the Netherlands, to Maastricht. So we'll visit the town of Maastricht, a small city as well here. And you'll have an opportunity to explore the central part of town, taking in the beautiful cathedral and the various sites like the city hall. From here, the following day, we're going to depart from Valkenburg and head towards Amsterdam. And on the way, we're going to stop at Zandzeeskans. Easy for me to say, right? Zandzeeskans, it's a beautiful, typical windmill village here in the Netherlands, and it is probably just one of the most picturesque, beautiful places that you can see anywhere in the world. A lovely visit, an opportunity for you to see a traditional windmill village here in the Netherlands and really take in these beautiful sights. Of course, you can't leave the Netherlands without a proper pair of wooden shoes, so you'll have an opportunity to do some shopping, not only here, but throughout your journey and so forth, throughout the program, some of the local handicrafts and so forth. Continuing on to Amsterdam, when we arrive in Amsterdam, we are going to feature an Amsterdam city tour. We're going to take you around panoramically so you can really get a sense of the city, get the lay of the land, see the beautiful canals, the Dam Square, of course, which is the central square here in Amsterdam, the beautiful Royal Palace and so forth. You'll see Amsterdam's Bloemen Market as well, which is kind of like the Pike's Place Market in terms of being a flower market and so forth, but there are no flying fish. We have the market cornered of that here in the Northwest. But wonderful and really indicative of the theme, obviously, at this time of the year. From there, we're going to take you on an Amsterdam Canal cruise. So this will be a narrated cruise through the canals. Really, the best way to see Amsterdam is through the canals because so many of the sites in the historical areas can be seen from here. So you'll be able to take that in. And then we go ahead and board our ship for 7 continuous nights. So wonderful to be able to travel to so many different places on a floating hotel and only pack and unpack once, which is really a nice feature of river cruising. The river cruise ships, it couldn't be more dramatically different than the ocean cruise that we'll show after this. These are small-scale experiences, 100%. So 164 total passengers. And as I mentioned, the ship is just launching a month before you're on it, so this is a brand new vessel. The vessels get better and better in terms of the amenities, in terms of the interiors and so forth. So really a wonderful opportunity. And an English-speaking staff, very attentive and so forth. This is a chartered river cruise on behalf of my company, so that means only other Premier World Discovery travelers from all over the United States will be participating. And the reason that's important in an experience like that is because that means everything will be conducted in English rather than multi-languages, which does make a difference. I always blame the French, right? But when they go through 3 languages, the French are chatting and then you can't hear the directions in English. You won't have that problem here. Here we are in the beautiful Amadeus Lounge. We've got the Panorama Bar, which all of the activities every evening really center around this. And you'll notice all of the public spaces have beautiful panoramic windows for you to be able to take in all of the sights as we come through. Fitness room on board, which is wonderful. It could also be described as a fitness closet because there are literally 2 pieces of equipment. You'll never see that many apples. We'll just never have that many people through. But they do a wonderful job of photographing it against a mirror to give you a sense. Really, the sun deck is a better opportunity to get some exercise and stretch your legs. You can walk around the top deck, and that's a better opportunity. Dining on board, it's all one seating in river cruising, so everyone for dinner, it's all one seating. For breakfast and lunch, there are several different options on the ship. You can do an early riser breakfast, you can do a light lunch, you can do a more formal lunch and so forth. And those are just 3 of the 7 meals a day we're going to feed you because we've got midday snack, we've got afternoon tea, we've got midnight snack. No one has gone hungry in the history of river cruising or cruising for that matter, so you'll be in great shape. And as I mentioned before, the on-board regional wines with dinner is really a nice feature of these. They don't skimp, so if ever you are done, you must place a napkin on your glass because as soon as you pour some, they just keep pouring. So, but it's a fun feature of it. So the ship itself features 12 suites. This is the most popular category, and I'll tell you, we are very, very close to being sold out of suites. As of yesterday morning, we have 3 left in this category. And then from there, on the Mozart deck and on the Strauss deck, these are cabins that are very, very similar, and I'll show examples of the cabins and the layouts here in just a moment, but they have a full fold-down window. So it's a big panoramic window, lots of light streaming into your cabin, and it folds down about halfway, so you get plenty of fresh air and so forth. You just lose the ability to physically step outside of your cabin and so forth. And then on our Haydn deck, and there are only 3 decks in river cruising, so we're not talking about a tremendous ship size and so forth. There are elevators on board if anyone should require that to get to the various decks, but also Pretty easy to navigate all in all. And the Haydn Deck, that is just the only deck with just a smaller fixed window. Still plenty of light. All of the cabins are, of course, exterior facing in river cruising, but the bigger windows and the deck access is upstairs. So. Again, you can just get an example here of the suites on the Mozart Deck as well as the Category A cabins. A and B, there are plenty of availability. Only 5 cabins left in the C category, so it's the lower end of the full opening window in terms of that. But other than that, we still have plenty of space available. So this is what you can expect in the suite category here. Obviously, big floor-to-ceiling windows. You have a small seating area there. Also, a walk-in closet is featured in the room. This really gives a great shot of the layout and what you can expect in the suite category. And it does, of course, highlight the small balcony. Now, you're not going to be out here sunbathing, but 2 of you could stand out there and have a cup of coffee. So that's the proper expectation to set, but lovely to have that ability if that's important to you. And then going into the Mozart Deck, again, we still have the walk-in closet. You still have a seating area, although it is a little bit smaller here. And, of course, the big floor-to-ceiling window. No ability to step outside, but you can open this window and still get the fresh air, which is quite nice. Mozart Deck, again, similar. The C category here, not a marked difference there. And then on the lowest deck, the Haydn Deck, this is where you have the fixed window. And as you can see in the room, there's still plenty of light. They're light-filled. The reality is you don't spend a ton of time in your cabins on experiences like this, but there are differences in terms of what you're most comfortable with. Now that we've boarded our ship, we've done a bunch of Amsterdam sightseeing the day before. We're going to give you a full day at leisure in Amsterdam. So you are able to take in any of the various sites. The Anne Frank House, of course, is a very, very popular visit. This is the one museum that I would recommend that you get an online reservation for in advance because it does fill up, and at this time of year it will be very, very busy. The Anne Frank House in the image there has the red shutters and the red awning. So imagine that there are a lot of stairs, so if that's something you're interested in, there's not an elevator in this museum, but wonderful to visit. Perhaps you'd like to pretend you're local and hang out in Leedspine Square, where you can drink beers as large as your head and enjoy time passing by as the locals would. The Rembrandt House Museum is a lovely visit. The Dutch National Museum is available to you. Van Gogh Museum. So many sites and so forth to take in. Amsterdam is also a tremendous city to visit on bicycle. Our ship travels with about 10 bikes and helmets and so forth, and you're able to book those at any time through the front desk and take those out and take a stroll and so forth. Just mind the locals. They go a little fast, but fun way to see Amsterdam if that's something you're interested in. Beautiful canals for a night stroll. We're docked overnight here in Amsterdam, so you can go out in the evening and come back to the ship, which is lovely. You can even do that and have a local dinner at some point. Now, there are a few times within the program that we do offer an optional excursion, so you can take that full day in Amsterdam at leisure, or you can participate in an optional trip that we put together to visit North Holland, Volendam and Edam. So it's the cheese-making region and so forth. And these are really designed for folks who want to have a little extra time on their own. They're able to do that, and folks who wish to take part in an additional activity can do that as well. From here, we continue on to Arnhem, and we're going to take an Arnhem city tour. You'll see a little bit of the traditional lanes and so forth. Arnhem is one of the cities that you'll notice has a lot of more modern architecture, and in this region, you can really tell the towns that were more devastated during World War II will have these more modern architectures. Arnhem itself is really known for its architecture today, so you'll see some of the what they consider architectural masterpieces like like the central station and so forth. And then we'll also feature the Arnhem Open Air Museum. And this is set up like a traditional Dutch village. It's set up so that you can really get a sense of how life would have been, traditionally speaking, in the Netherlands at this museum. Again, you can spend the afternoon in Arnhem. You can take extra time. Maybe you take the bikes out from the ship, whatever you choose, or to take in some more of the World War II history. We do feature another optional tour on this day to the Bridge of Arnhem and the Airborne Museum. So up to you. And the following morning, we're going to cruise the local waterways here. So we're on the ship for some time, and then we stop in Middleburg, a small town here of Middleburg. So we'll take in the sights with local guides. They'll do a little bit of a walking tour to give you a sense of Middleburg, and then you'll have, of course, some time on your own to enjoy some of the local delicacies. You'll see, of course, the Stadhuis here. Following day, we're going to go to Ghent. Now we're in Belgium proper, more so than when we visited the Henry Chapelle cemetery. So here in Ghent, we really take in the sights. It's really an outstanding Belgium town. In the afternoon, we're going to board the ship again. We continue cruising, and then we arrive in Bruges. And Bruges is really, I would say, the highlight city that we're taking in here in Belgium. Bruges is known for its beautiful canals. It's known as the Venice of the North because of the wonderful canal system, the beautiful architecture. The architecture couldn't be more different than Venice, obviously, but the canal system is quite similar, and really just a beautiful town. You'll get the benefit of local guides traveling with you to take you around and give you the lay of the land. You'll see the beautiful main square. Wonderful place for the Belgian chocolates. There's never a bad place for Belgian chocolates, but this is a great one. And also, Belgium is very well known for its beautiful lace, and they still have that tradition today, and Bruges is a wonderful place if you're interested in that type of handicraft. And from here, we're going to go to Antwerp. Again, you're going to have a city tour in Antwerp. You'll take in the cathedral, the beautiful Gothic cathedral that is here. The Old Town Square will be featured. The beautiful City Hall, of course. You'll see the rail station. In the afternoon, again, you can have more time here, or if you choose, you can take an optional tour to visit Brussels. And in Brussels, very important, obviously the capital of Belgium and the seat of many of the European government here in Brussels as well. Rotterdam, again, this is a city that underwent quite a bit of damage during World War II, so you're going to see the newer construction here in Amsterdam, in Rotterdam, and quite a bit in terms of the architecture and so forth. The Rotterdam Market Hall is one of the most interesting and unique buildings, again, speaking to their newer architecture that you'll see here. It's a mixed-use building, residential and office and so forth, and it has a tremendous public market on the ground floor and so forth. So everyone, if you've ever been through Rotterdam, you'll absolutely go to this building. It's absolutely unique and wonderful to see, and great place to get some bites, some little local specialties if you like that sort of thing. We're towards the end of the program here, and we're going to stop in Keukenhof Gardens. Keukenhof Gardens has about 95% of their visitors come through in April. It's a ghost town at other times of year, which is a shame. The garden is absolutely wonderful, but this is the time of year where the tulips are in bloom, of course, so it really draws quite a bit. This is what you can expect at the Keukenhof Gardens. So many different varieties of tulips are featured, and just the gardens themselves are so beautifully planted and wonderful to take a walk around and really take in the beautiful color and the sights here. Now, on the end of this program, from here, you're able to finish your program, fly home from Amsterdam, and come back home. Or because you're in Europe and we're so close, we do offer a 2-night extension to Paris. So it's an additional 2 nights. We're going to take in, of course, all of the sites, the Eiffel Tower, Notre Dame Cathedral, the Arc de Triomphe, the Champs-Élysées, all the various sites along the Seine in Paris, and you'll have, in addition to doing the city tour and giving you an orientation and getting you settled in and so forth, a full day at leisure to take in the various museums, all of the sites, maybe just eat croissants all day, which would not be a bad way to spend the day either, if you like that sort of thing. So average temperatures in April are ranging from the low 50s, high 40s, low 50s really is a better expectation, into the 60s in Paris, once we get to Paris and so forth. So that's what you can expect in terms of average high weather and so forth. So our rates are featured on the printed materials that you should have available at all of your properties. And again, you know, they vary in accordance to those categories and so forth. Remember that 164 total passengers on this, and I think we have about 64 passengers booked right now. And I mentioned the only categories that are really tight on space at this point are the suite categories and the category C. So a lot of availability on the other categories. Should I pause for questions on this product before going on to Alaska? All right, let's start. Anyone questions here?
Could you go back to the temperature screen?
Yes.
I think I saw 47 in April.
Yeah.
Wow. Looks like it.
Yeah, that's when they start blooming. This is the time of year for the tulips. This is the time of year that they have all of the festivals and all of the cruises for the tulip time and so forth. The blooming of the tulips, I can tell you, are the responsibility of someone else, but they operate it every year at this time because of the success they've had. Yes?
Question from Lake Norman.
What time people usually get back in the evening? Are there educational programs about the stops coming up?
Yes.
How does that work?
Great. The question here in the room was what time do folks get back in the evening from the various excursions and so forth, and are there educational programs that are available on board, and specifically talking about the program the next day? Did I caps? Okay, great. Great. So yes, on all accounts. So every evening we have a get-together in the Panorama Lounge, and there's a presentation from the cruise director that will talk exactly about what's going to happen the next day. They will have a PowerPoint as well. They'll talk about the sites, what you can expect, what the weather will be like, educational programs. They do throughout the cruise have various programming. Sometimes they do some fun things in the evening time, some dancing with the local musicians. Sometimes they bring folks on board to talk about a particular subject and so forth, so it varies cruise to cruise, but certainly that is a component of it as well. And additionally, in terms of preparing you for what to expect the next day, every evening in your cabin as you're having dinner, they will deliver a printed program that will talk about everything that's available on the ship, all of the meal times, any special activities that are taking place on the ship, the activities for the following day, all of the nitty-gritty. Does that answer it? Any other questions in the room?
We have a question here at Incanterra.
Perfect.
Okay.
You had a question?
Yeah, I was wondering, I'm over here. Does the boat move at night while we're sleeping on the nights that we're not having, in-town excursions or whatever?
That's a great question. Just to make sure everyone can hear at the properties, the question is, does the boat move at night and so forth? Sometimes it does, and sometimes it docks overnight. The real benefit of river cruising versus ocean cruising is your ability to stay in port overnight and to access the towns and so forth. So we will not know the sailing schedule until closer in. So sometimes you're moving at night and sometimes you're docked overnight. But in terms of river cruising and sleeping and so forth, so first of all, the European rivers, there are there's no significant movement in the ship. These are converted barges, so they don't rock. I mean, you don't almost feel that they're moving whatsoever, which is different than ocean cruising in terms of what you can expect. Does that answer the question?
No, I just was wondering if, instead of sitting on the boat during the day and watch the countryside go by, and we can't access it, I just was wondering, I was more interested in being at a place where we can get off. And obviously it is nice watching some of the countryside go by, but not every day.
Yeah, oh no, and those will be the rare, the question was in terms of being able to access the ports and not just floating by, watching life go by. You have more access to the ports, and whenever the ship is docked, regardless of the activities, you have full flexibility to go into town, to take a bike ride, to miss meals on the ship and to go out on your own and so forth. So you'll find your proximity to the stops and your ability to do that is actually outstanding.
Thank you. We do have one more question here.
Is the flower parade going on when we're there?
The flower parade?
Yeah.
The Tulip Festival is going on. I am not sure about a specific parade, but I can certainly find out and let the lifestyle directors know.
Great.
Thank you.
We have a question in Lake Frederick.
Okay.
Just on the cost, is there a charge for the optional excursions that are listed?
Yes. So the optional excursions, when we receive the final documents and so forth, you will receive the more details in terms of the optional excursions, the price points and so forth on the optional excursions, and then you have the ability to sign on to those once you arrive in the Netherlands and meet your cruise directors and so forth. That's when you'll sign up. We don't ask you to do it months in advance, as you don't know what the weather is going to be like or how you're feeling or what you're interested in doing 6 months from now. So you'll be able to do that on the program, but you'll receive the full details of those excursions about 2 weeks prior to departure with your documentation.
Thank you.
Question from Lake Norman. What is the dress for dinner on the cruise?
The dress for dinner, great question. The dress throughout the river cruise experience is casual and comfortable. Some folks choose to dress up a little bit, and you're certainly welcome to do so, but it's absolutely not required. As I mentioned, the ship is completely chartered with Premier World Discovery travelers, so we'll take you as you are. No particular requirements.
One more here at Incanterra.
Okay, and then we'll go to the Polo Club.
Hi. When the boat docks, are you far from the center of the activities or the city?
Typically not far at all. So the question, just to make sure everyone heard it, is when we dock, are you far from the town center? Or, okay, can you hear me okay now? Are you far from the town center or the activities and so forth? Typically not at all. In some circumstances, we might need to motor coach 10, 15 minutes to start the touring and so forth, but most days we'll physically walk right off the ship into the towns. So it's really wonderful positioning and so forth. Each day also you will have on the back of your program printed the address of the ship docking information, which is important for several reasons. The biggest one is so that you don't miss the ship. Big one. But also so that you have full flexibility if you're out and enjoying the town and you want to come up 10 minutes, 15 minutes before the ship takes off, you can take a taxi right to where the boat is parked and so forth. But most days and most touring, you physically walk right off the ship and begin. I think there was a question at the Polo Club. We're getting to the mic. No. Oh, I heard something. No. Sorry, not able to hear at the Polo Club. Any other questions from the other properties?
Aphrodite, this is Sarah. I have a quick question.
Yes.
We do notice that we've already had 3 different couples sign up for the trip, so thank you very much in advance for that. We have guests joining us from our Trilogy Orlando community that weren't able to join us today, but I know they're going to be watching the recording later on. And then we have 2 couples joining us from the Vineyard, so I just wanted to give a shout out to those folks and thank them for joining us already prior to the presentation. In addition, I'm going to grab the lifestyle director and see if she can jump into the room and help the Polo Club so that they can ask their questions.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
We do have a question at Monarch Dunes really quickly.
Okay, please.
Hi, quick question. Is there a backup plan if the ship's not ready?
Oh, the ship will be ready. So this is our 4th year in a row operating on these ships as soon as they come into water without delay. So because of the way that they're built in Europe and the fact that they're converted barges and so forth, they've got this system down pat. I have no concerns whatsoever on the ship readiness. Great question, though. I hope you're strong swimmers. Any other questions on the river cruise before we move on to ocean cruising? And we will get back to the Polo Club question as soon as they're able to come help with the microphone. Does that sound okay, Polo Club? Thumbs up. Okay. All right. So from here, we're going to discuss the ocean cruise opportunity that we have on for you for 2019, and this is in July 22nd through August 2nd of July 19, with our partner Celebrity, which is an outstanding cruise operator. So many of the cruise operators, they do a wonderful job and so forth. So you'll see a little bit. So first of all, this one, you're going to fly to Fairbanks to get started. You start with a couple nights in Fairbanks, a couple nights in Denali, and then you work your way south in Alaska before boarding the cruise ship for a 7-night program. Finishing in Vancouver, Canada is what you can expect here. So here is our 49th state. You're going as far as you can. And again, just showing the map, beginning in Fairbanks, coming south to Denali, continuing south to Anchorage, where we will board the ship and cruise through the Inside Passage, finishing in Vancouver, BC. The meals on board the ship, again, fully inclusive, similar to river cruising, where no one has ever gone hungry in the history of cruise operations. So all of your dinners and breakfasts and lunch and so forth. The Alaska cruises, they don't include the meals on the land portion of the program, and this is true for all of the operators and so forth. They're going to give you some recommendations, some different options in terms of what's available and what you can go out and do on your own, but they're not included giving you that full flexibility in terms of what you're interested in. So here's Fairbanks, aerial shot of Fairbanks. This is the largest city in the interior of Alaska, not a coastal city. They get bigger from there. So the largest interior city, 33,000 people. So you really get a sense. There's just about 1 million Alaskans in total, right? And 40% of those live in Anchorage, and we'll get into that. So not extraordinarily populated, as you can imagine. Here in Fairbanks, we are going to feature the Drudge, the Gold Drudge 8. This is an opportunity to do 2 things: to pan for gold. They guarantee that you're going to find gold. guarantee it. You don't guarantee how much gold you're going to find, so good luck with that. But nonetheless, it's a pretty cool experience. You have the opportunity to really learn about it and so forth. And also, the Alaskan Pipeline is just near here. It's visible from this site, and they do a wonderful interpretation of building the pipeline. They'll talk to you about the history of that and how important it is, of course, to Alaska. So you can expect that. We feature the Riverboat Discovery stern wheeler here. You can explore, of course, beautiful historic Fairbanks, Alaska on your own, great pubs and restaurants and that sort of thing. Everyone is alive in Alaska at this time of year, right? You've come out of the darkness, you get 3 months of light. Oh, Polo Club is up and at 'em. Okay.
I was just curious, for your land excursions in Holland, is there a bank on board, or how do you get local currency?
Great question. So the question, to make sure everyone could hear, was how do you get local currency and so forth. So at the various stops, ATMs are the best way to access funds when you're in country and so forth. The countries that we're visiting, Germany, the Netherlands, and Belgium, are all on the euro currency, so you can interchange currencies throughout that, and even into Paris. So you want to, ATMs are the absolute best way to do it. Obviously, you can get currency before you leave. I never recommend that because you pay too much for it. You can also get currency, exchange U.S. cash for euro currency at various exchange places in Europe. Anytime you're moving money, you pay a fee. So the best way to avoid the fees in general is to use your ATM. Get a good chunk of money out. Remember that in Europe, largely speaking, you're going to be able to use your credit cards everywhere. Specifically, Visa and MasterCard are the most highly accepted. So when I pull out money from the ATM, I get 300-400 euro, and I try to use that throughout my trip by using my credit cards for all other purchases and just using the cash for small purchases, and that just cuts down on the fees that you incur as you go, if that makes sense. Does that answer the question, Polo Club?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. All right, on to Fairbanks. Where were we? In a pub, I think? Yeah? From here, you are going to travel to Denali via the Wilderness Express train. This is probably one of the highlight experiences, other than being on the cruise itself and going through the Inside Passage. The Wilderness Express takes you through stunning scenery as you head down, and they use these very innovative dome cars and so forth. There are exterior platforms as well where you can stand in the open air, still very safely, obviously, but you can take unobstructed photos of the beautiful scenery that you'll see, which is a real highlight of the train itself. And this is going to take us into Denali, where you'll stay for 2 nights and take in the majestic Denali National Park. Our national park system here in the United States is outstanding, and Denali does not disappoint, taking in the beautiful views that you'll see all throughout the experience. Now, in Denali, when we arrived that first day, we're able to access the park or parts of the park and so forth. You can go on activities on your own or through the cruise ship. They offer helicopter flight seeing over Denali National Park or river rafting. So those are the 2 activities they offer on this particular day. You'll see various activities throughout, but 2 highlights here in Denali National Park. The following day, we're going to tour through the park quite a bit to take in the sights, to take in all of the beautiful areas and vistas that you can see. And we're going to do this using the Tundra Wilderness Tour through Denali National Park. You see the brown bears there. The best way to see the brown bears is when you're safely in a vehicle, which is a big bus. That's great. But the wildlife here is quite prevalent. And this is a ranger standing next to that moose. We do not recommend that, so please don't do as he does, but obviously you're able to get quite close, depending on your lens capability on your camera, to some of the beautiful wildlife and the black bears and the grizzlies and the various moose. So hopefully you'll be lucky as well on the Tundra Tour Typically, wildlife is seen. Of course, we do call ahead to all the bears and ask them to be there at 3 p.m., but they don't always do that. Also, you'll have stunning views of Mount McKinley, highest peak here throughout your visit. So here it is at daybreak and so forth. Again, we're going to continue down to Anchorage. This is where 40% of the population lives. 300,000 of the nearly 1 million Alaskans are all here in Anchorage. And we come to Anchorage, you'll have some time to explore on your own the various shops and so forth. And then we continue south from there to Seward. So a short stop in Anchorage, we continue to Seward. Seward is where we will physically board our ship here. So on the ocean cruise, we offer 3 of the categories that are available. The inside stateroom, and I'll show you this, they are interior cabins. We're only holding one of these because it's not a very popular category. However, it is a great value, and if anyone's interested, we can certainly increase those. Those are easier to increase than the other 2 categories, and the Oceanview Stateroom and the View Stateroom with balcony. So those are the predominant categories that we find folks are interested in. This is the inside stateroom, true to its name. There's not an exterior window. And then the ocean view, you see you do have a view of the outside, a nice size picture window, a seating area, and then of course the balcony stateroom. So I'll tell you, with ocean cruising, and specifically to Alaska at this time of year, it is very, very, very popular. And because of our relationship with Celebrity, they give us great policies and so forth. So we're able to hold these cabins until November 1st, essentially speaking, and then what they do is they recall them. So if we've not sold them, then they take them back and put them into general inventory. So with our relationship with Celebrity, again, we're able to hold these rates and so forth. I want to be clear that at the end of the day, the big cruise ships, they do with their inventory what they like. So if they're in a situation where they're selling faster than expected, they do even reserve the right to change the rates on us and so forth. So essentially speaking, I only tell you this information if you're interested in ocean cruising, if you're interested in a particular cabin. It's very, very important to book quickly. It's a short season in Alaska, and the best way to not be disappointed or not face any changes is to go ahead and book and get your reservation in. So here we are, the beautiful Celebrity Millennium ship. This is a mid-sized ship in terms of ocean cruising. Now, we know that some of these have gotten huge with 6,000 and so forth. In Alaska, they tend to be a little bit smaller ships, so about 2,100 passengers on the Celebrity Millennium, and they have the capability to go through these icy conditions and so forth that you would anticipate. So on board, you have the main 2-story restaurant. You have several dining venues that are absolutely inclusive. Now, this is particular to Celebrity because they have that freedom of choice dining. So they have 3 restaurants that are included, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can go to any one of them at any time. There are no additional charges for those. And then they have a number of specialty restaurants that are on board, an Italian restaurant, various restaurants, and I'll feature some of them throughout the presentation. And those restaurants, you want to book in through the front desk of the hotel on the cruise ship, and there are additional charges, kind of a surplus charge. It's not very, very expensive, and it's very, very worthwhile just to change it up. You know, maybe you want sushi one night, maybe you want Italian, and essentially for an additional $25 per person, $35 per person, you get that full flexibility, which is really a nice feature of it. Several swimming pools on this one with a retractable roof, which is important in Alaska. even in the summertime. Hot tubs, golf simulator. I like that they call the casino Fortunes Casino because everyone's fortunate, right, in the casinos. And again, about 2,100 guests, 2,138 in terms of total capacity is what you can expect. The ship was recently renovated, so it is quite modern and beautiful and so forth. The restaurants, as I mentioned, the two-story main restaurant, the Metropolitan restaurant, the Ocean Cafe Grill, and those are included at all times. And then you have the various additional restaurants that are available, the freedom of choice dining. So it just really gives you full flexibility in terms of the dining experience that you can expect. On ocean cruising, specifically with Celebrity and their cruises of 7 days more, they have 2 chic evenings, which they've, if you remember 10, 15, 20 years ago in cruising, you had to bring a tuxedo for one night and it was a big formal event and so forth. They've really pared that down today to achieve modern taste. So the chic evening is described as anything from a tuxedo to nice jeans. So a lot of flexibility there, a lot of flexibility. At the end of the day, it's your vacation, be comfortable. What they try to avoid, actually what they absolutely avoid in the evening times is shorts and flip-flops and sleeveless shirts for the men for the dining in the evening. Other than that, you'll find a lot of flexibility. This is what you can expect in terms of the beautiful grand foyer here on the ship, the little coffee lounge that is available on the ship, the Ocean Cafe. This is buffet style dining, but it is included for all of your meals. They have an exterior section, which is lovely on a nice Alaskan day, if you get that. The beautiful Metropolitan restaurant, 2 stories, as you can see here, and they do 2 different dining seatings on the Celebrity Millennium here. And these are some of the alternate dining experiences, the Olympic restaurant, the Cuisine restaurant that's on board, the bistro here, the Tuscan Grill. This is a wonderful Italian fare. Something lighter, the Long Club Grill. This is right next to the golf section, so you'll be in great shape. Beautiful spa on board, so you can really take advantage of those facilities and book in. Wonderful fitness center. So this is the benefit of a big ship. It's not a fitness closet like on a river ship, but a proper full-size gym, really, with unparalleled views. The pool area, and of course the retractable roof pool area, which is really coming in handy in Alaska at this time of year, should that become necessary. This is where you'll win all of your fortunes. Maybe, no promises, but give it a shot, and the various venues that you can expect. In addition to the restaurants, you have various clubs and bars and different nightlife options. You have, of course, a theater, evening entertainment every night. There are shops on board, martini bar in case you get thirsty. All kinds of options. These ships are just outstanding. They're really built for entertainment, able to accommodate everything that you might want to do while on board. And of course, the benefit is that you really get it up close here in Alaska, taking in the Hubbard Glacier. We'll cruise right through or right up to the Hubbard Glacier and so forth. Hopefully you'll get lucky, and there'll be some big calving activity where the glacier is physically falling off into the water. You can see it there in this slide just behind. A great view of the Hubbard Glacier. And every day it calves, so hopefully you get lucky and it happens while you're there as well. Absolutely outstanding scenery to take in and really see what's... From there, we continue to Juneau. This is the capital of Alaska, of course, and we'll have some time here in Juneau. Again, you're walking right off the street, the ship to access the town and the main area. Maybe you'll go to the famous Red Dog Saloon. Maybe. have some time here and enjoy. So on the ship side, again, they're going to offer optional activities, optional excursions at the various ports, and that's going to be true here in Juneau and all throughout. I always preface it with the fact that they're able to change these a little closer in. They're always identifying what's worked, what people, taking feedback from guests and so forth and making changes. So if anything I'm showing here is not available, it's simply because it's completely at the mercy of the cruise line. But sport fishing and the sled dog experiences are part of my favorites. You get the puppies in the summertime, so hopefully you'll get so lucky. Whale watching in this part of the world is absolutely outstanding. So you get a sense of the various activities, and again, you're able to choose those right on the ship and make your decisions, and they're able to accommodate you. Or in your booking process, as you're registering for the cruise, you can also do those online in advance, which is quite handy as well. Next, we're in Skagway. Again, you're accessing right from the ship to the main town here in Skagway, so easy access to the town, to the various shops and so forth for your time here, and the optional activities that will be featured. Another gold excursion, Glacier Point Wilderness Safari, which is outstanding. Visiting a dog sled camp, if you like that. The Eagle Preserve, so many different options that they'll have. Flight seeing is available at several of these stops from the cruise ship, and that's really outstanding because so much to see, salmon bakes and railway options. Next, we're going to visit Icy Straight Point here. There are various activities that are available here. Pretty similar. So, you can really pick and choose. If you're going to flight see one day, maybe you do a wilderness experience another day, whatever is really in your interests. They really have a wide variety to meet everyone's interests, including an opportunity to get up close and personal with Alaska's First Peoples. So that's a wonderful option as well. Continuing on to Ketchikan, we're going to take in Ketchikan here. Again, these towns, they're very small, they're very accessible right from the ship, and of course, for the real action, you can participate in the optional excursions that are available. The Great Alaskan Lumberjack Show, I mean, who would miss that, right? Maybe. Just give you a sense, this is Misty Fjords, beautiful optional excursion that's available here from Ketchikan. Next, we continue cruising through the Inside Passage, and this, you've seen so many of the beautiful sights in Alaska. Denali is absolutely outstanding and so forth, but this cruise portion is probably some of the most beautiful days that you'll experience. So vistas all throughout. Hopefully you're lucky enough to see some wildlife as we travel. It's not uncommon to see the orcas through this part of the Inside Passage. But again, we ask them to be there at 3 p.m., but not up to us. These are the scenery, the beautiful vistas that you can anticipate as you're cruising through the Inside Passage. Wild bald eagles here in this area between Canada and Alaska are quite prevalent, so hopefully you'll have some good spottings here, some sea lions and various whales. These are some humpbacks here, but also some orcas can be seen. Throughout your journey, hopefully you'll be lucky to see the beautiful wildflowers and some extraordinary sights in terms of the wildlife and all throughout. So, yeah, he was having a rest. So, July 22nd through August 2nd, if this is an experience that you're interested in, I think the important thing for me to impart is don't wait on the ocean cruises. As you know, ocean cruises are sold very, very widely. The cruises, they sell their own inventory. They work with partners like us and sell inventory. Travel agents sell inventory and so forth. So their goal is to fill these ships, and they do it quite quickly. So if you know what cabin you want to sign up for, go ahead and do it. August temperatures, warmer than April in Holland, about 65, mid-60s, low 60s, I think, is what you can anticipate on the daily basis, and the low in the 40s, I think, would be appropriate. Rainfall at this time of year is pretty minimal. It's not obviously the time of year that they typically get a lot of rainfall, but it is possible that you can get some rain. Passports are required for both programs, obviously, because we finish here in Vancouver, Canada, so you will be in Canada requiring a passport. Remember, when you do travel internationally, your passport should always be valid for at least 6 months post the end of the trip. That's a requirement from most countries and so forth. We do offer a booking discount for our travelers. So you will see you're able to deposit on here. You call my office directly. You talk to the reservations folks. They can answer additional questions for you, walk you through the reservation process and so forth. It's a $500 per person deposit to register on either of these programs. And from there, you're not going to be billed for final payment until about 75 days prior to departure, so nothing to do in between. For your deposit, you can register for that in any way that you wish. You can do it via credit card, you can do a check, you can do gold bars, Indian rupees, whatever you got laying around. But then for the final payment, if you choose to pay via check rather than credit card, we give a $100 discount per person. Essentially, we're not paying the credit card fees on that, so we just pass that back to the consumer. That's just how we do that. So that is available to you. So deposits $500 per program. You just simply call the office. That is to my main office. The reservation staff, again, are there to answer any questions. We do have reservation forms at all of the properties, or you can do it over the phone with our reservation staff in the office. I will highlight that we do offer on both programs a travel protection plan, and this is essentially the way to protect your investment. None of us know exactly what's going to happen on April 2nd of 2019 or July of next year. So should you have an issue, a covered medical reason up to the day of departure, you're able to receive all of your money back less the price of the travel protection plan, which is really an outstanding coverage. And it also covers you on the program as well. If you need medical care while you're in Holland or in Alaska, have the peace of mind that this insurance covers you for up to $150,000 to repatriate you back to the United States if you should require that type of care. It covers any medical expenses that you would incur while you're gone and the unused portion of your trip. So again, it's designed to protect your investment, and the details of which are on the back of the flyer. So thank you all. Thank you to all of our properties that participated. Thank you for you in the room, and I will take any questions on the Celebrity Cruise. We'll start here in the room.
Is airfare included in Alaska, and is Hubbard Glacier Bay?
Two questions. Is airfare included in the Alaska program, and is Hubbard Glacier in Glacier Bay? Yes. On the second question, Hubbard Glacier is in Glacier Bay. And on the first question, airfare is not included on either program. So you can make your own air arrangements and so forth. We can do that for you if you like, but you have more flexibility in terms of booking air on your own. If you're using miles, if you're using points, if you like economy plus or business class or first class airfare, it gives you the full flexibility to be able to do that, and the reservations team will just say, arrive before this time, arrive after this time. We have included your round-trip transfers from when you arrive in Amsterdam to the hotel, and from when you depart from the final hotel or cruise ship back to the airport. So those are included in the program regardless. Other questions? Yes.
Are pre-existing conditions covered in the travel protection?
The question was, are pre-existing conditions covered in the travel plan, the protection plan? They are. So essentially speaking, in order to enact that clause, you want to sign up for the travel protection at time of deposit. So when you sign up, when you deposit, then all pre-existing conditions are covered. What they're trying to avoid is that you sign up, you don't take out the travel protection, 3 months later you realize you've got something come up medically and then you add it. Then pre-existing conditions come in. So it can be added later, but it's a different ball game. So if you're interested in the travel protection, sign up for it when you register for the program, and then all pre-existing conditions are covered. Yes?
Do you know if auroras are visible, routinely visible from Fairbanks?
The question was whether auroras are routinely visible from Fairbanks. Routinely they are, except for in the summer, because, you know, obviously we cruise at this time of year, but there's too much light to really be able to see it. You have to go off season in Fairbanks to be able to see that. At this time of year, at the end of July, you might have 2 to 3 hours of dusk. So we're not, it never gets dark. It just gets dusky. Any other questions in the room? Okay, how about out there? Thank you all so. Oh, do I see a question at Encantera? No. Okay, waving goodbye. Thank you so much, everyone. All right. I appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you, and thank you to you in the room.
Thank you.